so today we're going to talk about transparency. Transparency not as some lofty ideal, but rather as an existing unavoidable reality in the world where we live. See what happened there when I decided to be real, when I decided to be transparent with you. What happened? It forced connection between you and I. That's what transparency does. It binds you. It bound me to you and you to me. Transparency binds us in an automatic, mechanical, reflexive, inextricable way. When we can check any claim in a 30-second Google search, that creates a mindset, a culture, a way of thinking for us as human beings of expected transparency. In other words, if you're not being transparent with people, you're repulsing them. But again, on the other hand, if you are being transparent with people, it can amplify these primal laws of blocks, which is my work. On June 4th, 1940, Winston Churchill gave a speech on the BBC in London to galvanize support for World War II. And the speech, which is now known, had a different name at the time, it's now known as the We Shall Fight speech. But in that speech, which has become one of the most famous speeches of the 20th century, he says the words, "We shall fight," over and over and over again. We shall fight. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight in the streets and in the landing grounds and in the fields. We shall fight. And again, it's this transparent block phrase of his emotional intent connected to a much larger speech that is the reason it became one of the most famous speeches of the 20th century and defined Churchill's career. So here we see that a block can do more than get attention. That speech is known as the pivot point where Churchill got the British people to go all in with him behind the war. So a block phrase, if it's transparent and true, and I'm going to get into what transparent and true means, can motivate action. And it's a reflexive thing. We see a block and then it repeats, and we got to know. We got to get, and it sucks us in. The more transparent you are, the more power it has. It amplifies it. 2008, democratic movements and revolution raged across North Africa and the Middle East. Bahrain, Tunisia, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Syria. Most of these movements were organized on Twitter and Facebook, these protests. But more importantly, why did these movements occur? They occurred because we now live in a culture and in an age where we can share information with an entire populace instantly. And when an entire populace can get instant information that is rock solid, that they're being lied to, exploited, stolen from, many people would rather die than live under those conditions or live in that type of environment. So whether it is a car, a pizza, or a quest for a more open and democratic society, transparency is the future of human connection.